Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Melanie. How are you? Good afternoon,
Hi, Dami.
everyone.
I'm fine, and you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Hi, Vincent. Vincent Michael, the man himself. How are you?
Your mic is muted.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to this live. Today, we're going to be talking about a very important topic. We're going to be talking about a very, very important topic. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Damilola, and these are my colleagues, Melanie, and this Melanie and Michael, Vincent Michael. And today we're going to be talking about a very important topic that you're all probably very familiar with. Uh, and that topic is the internet ethics, how to secure yourself online. So I'm going to begin my presentation now. So, first of all, we're going to look at the principles of the internet. Now, principles of the internet. These are pretty much very simple things that you and I have probably heard of. So let's take a look at the first one. The first principle says, do not use the computer to harm users. It's very important that, ethically speaking, we try as much as possible to limit the amount of negativity that exists on the internet today. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there is a vastness in negativity that exists, unfortunately. But if we decide to not use the computers to harm people, we stand a chance in making the world a better place. Now, before I proceed, it's something I've always wanted to discuss. It's in the basic laws and things that exist pretty much everywhere around us, and it's something we cannot all do without, right? And first thing I want to bring up is the issue of privacy. Now, when you're using the internet, right? Do you guys actually believe you are as secure or as private as you can be, regardless of using tools? And let me give you a short answer. The short answer is no, you're not. You're not because if you're using a VPN, for example, your IP address and information is being wired from your computer to a different location instead of your server or whoever is hosting whatever search engine you're making use of. But your information, unfortunately, is still being logged in their database. So it's not exactly 100% secure, right? So this brings me to the next point about the internet, features of the internet. Be careful what you post, okay? There's an example I like using when discussing topics like this, like these. There's an issue about WHO. They posted an article on hunger, and it was a very dark article, and it had very uh, troubling information as to how the people at the so-called top use hunger as a tool to manipulate people to keep the people at the lower class working for them so they can stay at the top as usual. And so to speak, these WHO, they posted the article on Twitter and it was deleted. But unfortunately, a kid with a 22nd century device, a cell phone, was able to find this article and was able to publish this article. It didn't really get much light, but you can tell my point from here. It is, do not just post things on the internet. The internet is not a space that you can do as you please. You can, but there are repercussions, there are consequences. Okay, now back to the principles of the internet, the ethical use of the internet. So do not access files without the permission of the owner. This means that if you get emails or if you get anything that does not belong to you, you know in your heart that it does not belong to you. It's advisable that you do not access information if it does not pertain to you, because one, it could put you in danger because you could be government information, for example. It could be sensitive content of which, they might hire bounty hunters to track you down and possibly kill you. Just joking, that's possibly not going to happen. All right, let's move on to the third example. Do not copy copyrighted software without the author's permission. Now, I can tell that a lot of us are very, very much victims of this practice. I'm not going to mention names, but they're out there in the world and they know themselves using specifically Adobe products. All right, you didn't hear that from me. It's definitely not Photoshop or any Adobe related products. It's not right, because they've worked long and hard to develop these amazing softwares, and we crack them. Well, not we, obviously, we're ethical people, and they crack them. So do not copy copyrighted software without the author's permission. Next point is always respect copyright laws and policies. Now, we know we might have 16 pages long of terms and conditions, and obviously we're all victims of not caring to read. We just click and we do as we please with them. But to some extent, we should at least make efforts in reading these laws so we can have an understanding of what we are getting ourselves into. Respect the privacy of others. Do not use others' computers, or do not use other users' computer resources without their permission. Use the internet to your benefit, self-development, and knowledge acquisition purposes. This is a very favorite point of mine. Why, you might ask? There's a man I know, his name is Patrick Bet-David. Probably a lot of you know him. He said the 22nd century is the easiest time for anyone to become a millionaire. And the three things that I know that can make anyone a millionaire is information, understanding, and application. So there's tons of free information out there. So use the internet to your benefit and not to the benefit of the detriment of other people. Now we're going to take a trip down memory lane, so to speak, on the origin of the internet. Now, the origin of the internet can be dated back to the 1946 in the United States, where the ARPA was tasked with developing a vast system of communication cross computer-wise, such that computers can be able to communicate over long distances, sharing data, sensitive data, especially sensitive data. But now we can see from sticks and stones, we're now here. We've evolved so much, and so has the internet, to a position where we can now use it for a lot of things, meaningful and unmeaningful things, unfortunately. So studying the history of the internet, it really tells you what the original intent of the internet was made for: sharing information between one another, right? Being able to be more productive instead of maybe sending letters. Now you can just, in the snap of a finger, you can get your information via emails, via various platforms that exist. Now we're going to move over to the dark side of the internet. Oh, I know a lot of people are beginning to get very interested in these aspects. Well, unfortunately for you, it's not very interesting, not as you think anyways. The dark side of the internet. Okay, first of all, there are multiple dark sides to the internet. Okay, 2 or 3 dark sides to the internet, right? Now, the first one is the one we're all familiar with. In fact, it's the very platform that we're doing this live on, right? You're probably watching from Instagram, from LinkedIn, from YouTube, from Facebook, all these platforms, Google Drive, Google Meet, various Zoom platforms. All these platforms, as you can see on my presentation slide here, are known as the surface web. Okay, this is the friendly part of the internet. Okay, this is where you can at least find less dangers than you would majorly find. Now let's go a bit deeper. Let's go to the deep web 1. Now this part it's sensitive, but not so sensitive. because here is where organizations' databases are, legal dossiers, and academic databases are. Okay, it's like it's not everyone can have access to this, but it's just right in between. So it's hidden from the majority of the world. So it's a little bit safer. But believe me, there's a lot of things that are going on under there that you probably don't want to know. Now let's move on to the next. Let's go a bit lower, and then we can see the deep web 2. Now this part contains very sensitive information. Okay, back when I was in high school, a lecturer told me something. He said if you typed something, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's for your own safety, onto the internet, there are chances that you could get arrested, because back in the day, the internet was used to send some sort of coded messages, especially for bombings and for especially suicide bombings, right? So there was like this code that was being sent. And so that code is still very, very much active to date. So the chances are that if they recognize that message as a threat, you could be arrested. Okay, so the deep web 2, the second part of the second layer on the deep web, contains sensitive data, military information, cloud data, governmental records. And now we have the favorite part of everybody, the dark web. The dark web in itself. Okay, now the surface web and the dark web have one very key distinction. The surface web is indexed, or it's known as indexed web pages. Okay, this means that it is accessible, or there are no dangers, or they're verified in a sense. But the dark web, it's unindexed, right? Which means that there is no, it's like the chaotic part of the internet. Everything is allowed, everything goes. A lot of very disturbing things go on in the dark web. And it's very troubling, believe me. You have human trafficking, human sales, even auctioning, and all that, various different things. So now we're going to move over to globalization and social politics. Now, globalization and social politics is a rundown of how far the internet has come and where it's headed, right? So it's like, from what I said, from sticks and stones, now we've evolved so much that we can literally talk and hear each other in real time, right? You can type your questions, you can even stop me, you can talk at the same time. My colleagues can decide to unmute themselves and talk to me in real time. We've come a very long way. Now, let's look at the impacts on society, right? From the little charts that you can see by the side, we can see I've divided them into 3 distinctions. You can see the blue side, the gray side, and the red side. Now, the blue side represents the part of the population that at least have very good internet connection or internet access. And the gray part represents people that have, well, not so much of a great internet connection. And then the red part are people that have little to no internet connection whatsoever, right? So now we can see today we have TikToks, we have trends, we have Instagram, we have various different things that happen on the internet, right? So the positive impacts would include the ability to reach out to our loved ones in real time, the ability to share information and walk faster than we used to. And the negative impacts can be the use of the internet for money laundering, for human trafficking, and the likes of that. Let's take a look at the impact on businesses. The perks on businesses, as I said, the ability to share information in real time such that people can now work faster, okay? And as one of my favorite examples, since the beginning of COVID, there was this explosion of Zoom. Yeah, it didn't really need that dramatic effect, but I just had to. There was this explosion of the Zoom software, right? The online platform where you can have meetings, right? It really shot up because I can be across the world and all I need is an internet connection and a laptop or a cell phone, and I can have a meeting that literally decide the fate of humanity over the internet. That's amazing. That's really amazing. And the adverse effects of this You guessed it, the mafia. Yes, I said it. The mafia. These guys can also use the internet. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that the internet can, as much as it can be a tool for good, it can also be a tool for destruction. You can have people using the internet for various dangerous purposes. We can, using, especially now that we have encryption technology, we now see that you can have meetings and no one would even know what you're talking about. So the internet is a good place and a very dangerous place. So my advice to you today is that you try as much as possible to be an ethical person or an ethical use of the internet. Thank you very much. I would. Does anyone have any questions for me? I would like to ask some questions before I hand over to my next colleague. Come on, guys. Questions for me. All right. I will hand over to my colleague, Melanie. Melanie, welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie, and we're going to dive into identity theft. So, I guess we are all familiar with the internet, and it's not a strange name, but most of us we don't really know what it is because we equally have identity fraud. Here is the thing: they both work hand in hand. Identity theft occurs when you get someone's information without their authorization. It could be through links, unauthorized websites, and all the like. Why frauding? It's the action you do with whatever you've gotten from them. So, how does this happen? It's safe to say there are little things we do without knowing that exposes a lot about us to the society. For example, disposing your bank statement, your credit card details, your billing informations, and all the like. In as much as it sounds funny to be in the trash, but people can go to an extent to get what they want. So it is not advisable to dispose certain informations or the like without proper disposal. So some of the methods in which identity theft occur are: we have phishing. So it's a deliberate act where someone intends getting information from you using legitimate sites or websites. It usually appears in the form of email, where they attempt to get personal information from you. Some of the signs in which you can know that it's a phishing email: it's always very urgent. They require urgent action, such as you have maybe an offer and they give you like 24 hours for it to expire. Oh, there's always a call to action, like you need to do it instantly. There's always a hyperlink, which is going to generate you to an unknown site, which seems legitimate, but that's not the case. And their greetings are usually generic. It is generic because it's maybe an artificial intelligence or a robot that composes the email. So emails such as "hello user," as you can see from the image here, and they might say you've received an instruction maybe to register for something, and you get maybe a cash price or whatever it might be, and attached to that email you might have a link that will direct you to an unknown website. And getting to that website now, it might require your bank card, maybe your name, a password to maybe your Google account. It could be your date of birth, basically detailed informations about you. And furthermore, after they get these informations, you really don't know what happens to them. They mostly use unsecure sites. So you don't know what saver or whoever has access to those sites. There are many phishing emails. Some are links, some are websites. If we can, I'm sure all of us have witnessed this. You might go to a website for the first time, and after scrolling maybe for 2 minutes or maybe 2 seconds, let me not exaggerate it, you might have a pop-up box. That's actually a newsletter. that might ask for your email to get further information on what's happening with the company, maybe their offers or their latest news. But for some websites, whenever those emails pop up, they're actually not newsletters. It's just a way for them to collect detailed information about you. But I'm not trying to say you should not get newsletters and all the like from websites. You should just be careful in which of them you're choosing to give out your emails to. So another method is fake online profiles. The image here says it all. I'm going to be focused more on online dating. So it occurs where maybe a male or maybe a female, whatever, they create a profile not using their pictures or their information. They might just get a random picture online, a random name, random address, location, or the like, they get their mutuals and they're in contact. So basically, whenever they do this, they have an objective, which is getting something from you. And in most cases, it's money. Yeah, most of the cases, they need money from you. So what they do is they gain your trust. Since it's a dating app, obviously everyone there is to make connections and a love affair, something like that. So they make you trust them. They're always flirty, like they give you the information, they give you the impression love at first sight, like they make you fall for them and gain their trust. So when you're falling for them, now they proceed by getting detailed information. And most times girls, though it does happens to guys too, but I'm a lady, so I will explain from the ladies' side. So for the ladies now, when you're in love and all that, it's really easy to get to you. Like you give out information, you don't really think about what you're doing. So they might ask intimate pictures as well. Some girls can do that. Detailed information, where you live, maybe your bank statement is screenshot and all that. When that is done, they've gotten all they want. Now it's time to blackmail you. They now request for something from you. Most is money. And if you don't want to comply, then they already have a lot against you. They might threaten you to post your pictures, like basically blackmailing you. So it's really not advisable. We should be careful online. In as much as they are genuine people over the internet, we should be ready to give out information that might not put us in danger in future. So another example is phone scams. With this same diagram, I will take this same picture, I will take another example. Let's say I will presume she's answering a call and the call requires her to give out an information about herself, maybe her bank details or whatever. Let me use the bank detail. And the paper she's holding might be a bank statement. So usually, most times people get our numbers. I can't really tell how they do it, but definitely there's a source to it. Maybe it's negligence over the internet or privacy. For example, on Facebook, maybe you make your number, your email, or your address public. You don't put it private, so someone can get your contact from there. Now, most times with these fake phone calls, they always come up with stories. I will take an example. You get a phone call, and from nowhere, you don't really know the person. And they are telling you, for example, you won an amount of money, like a huge amount. At that point, you're so excited. In as much as you don't know where the money is coming from, but you don't really care. Who doesn't like money? So now they might come up with a story that, but there's an issue maybe with your bank. We need certain detailed information about your bank. At that point, whatever they ask, you won't really think straight. They might say you should give out your bank, like details about your bank account generally. So as humans as we are, with the excitement and everything, you won't really think, why should I give such a sensitive information to them? But you're like, after all, it's to get the money, even though you don't know how you made it. So you just give out your details, and before you know it, your bank is empty. So we should be cautious. Like, you can't really get money from nowhere. Like, you didn't do anything and money comes to you. It doesn't really make sense. In as much as luck occurs to everybody, but I think before that can come, you should have proceeded with a step. Maybe applied for something, you attempted something. Then if such a call comes to you, then it's a little safe. But then in as much as it might sound genuine, you should be like conscious of what you give out to people, especially when you don't know who they are. So those are the three type of identity theft. Now we'll dive into some of the protective measures over the internet. Reviewing credit cards and bank statements regularly. So as I earlier mentioned, if you want to dispose, like you have your bank cards and everything, you have a pile of documents you want to get rid of. You don't just push them all into the trash just like that. You can decide maybe to tear off some important notes from it, like numbers, your name, addresses, or you use an ink and just erase, just make sure what you're disposing outside doesn't reveal much about you. Collect mail daily. You can as well back up your emails and get rid of them in your system and your phone, especially sensitive emails from your credit card, your bank purchases, maybe whatever is in your email that is going to reveal a lot of stuff about you. You should make sure you get rid of them, or you back them up and you get rid of them from your phones. Installing antivirus softwares. Well, it's not really the best because some of these antivirus are not really safe as we think. Sometimes when you install them, they make your system or your device worse. But I believe they are safer antivirus. So you should have a rundown, maybe reviews about whatever you're downloading. After all, most times before going online and getting the stuff in your device, you really need to get reviews from previous users to know if you can go in for it or not. Then you have to wipe electronics before donating it. For example, if I have to give my system to somebody to use, I know the person might go to my browser history and there might be some information that I didn't protect and they might have easy access to it. So before giving out the information, make sure you back them in a safe place, maybe in a flash drive, your Google Drive. Possibly you log out of your email accounts before you give out your device to anyone, because we are humans and we are very curious. In as much as you might trust the person and believe they won't do anything, but then at some point, you have it all to yourself. So the person is not around. So you'll be like, let me just try. Let me just peep on something. Before you know it, you get so curious, you start diving in things you're not supposed to do, and you get information. And from there, we are humans. You get the information, devilish ideas will come up, and you want to do some stuff you shouldn't do. So that's all about identity theft. Any questions? Okay, my colleague Vincent is going to take over. Thank you.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, I'm sure you've learned a lot from what my colleagues have said. And now I'm going to be talking about how to protect yourself online, some awareness tips actually. So, these are some of the things you can do when you're online to make sure that you are safer than the average person and don't fall victim to certain attacks. So the first one is you need to be aware of the email that is sent to you. Do you know are you acquainted with the address, that you get the email from? If it is not an address that you are familiar with, it is best to not open the email, because we initially have the idea that, okay, I have to download the attached document before I can get a malware into my system, if there is a malware in the attachment. But now there's something known as a drive-by download. So now with a drive-by download, you don't even have to download the attached document. You just need to open the email and then it downloads itself automatically into your system. So if it is a malware, you are going to get affected. So the best thing to do is to avoid opening any of such email if you're not sure, you know. Then you need to update your device regularly. As much as we have the updates in the user interface and everything, but a lot of the updates for our devices and our browsers involve security updates. So you need to get the latest security feature to cover some security loopholes in the system. So once you have the latest feature in terms of security, you can be sure that you are protected from any threat that is at that level. Then you need to use strong passwords. So now, passwords like 12345 or your birthday or your name or the name of your school, they're not really the best passwords to use if you really want to stay safe online. So you need to use strong passwords. What is a strong password? A strong password is a password that is easy for you to remember, but also hard for somebody else to remember, because there are softwares, there are programs, malware programs that are designed to guess every password that they can, to get into your account. So if you have a stronger password, you make it less likely for the program to do so. And when we talk about strong passwords, we're talking about capital letters mixed with small letters and numbers and symbols. You can even go as far as using an abbreviation or an acronym for something. And then use password management applications. So use password management applications to generate new passwords and also store them. And it's also advised to change your password at least once a year. At least once a year. Then the next one is two-factor authentication. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you're trying to log into your Gmail from an unfamiliar device, and then you're being told on the interface that a message will be sent to your phone to verify if you are the real owner, that's trying to gain access. So that actually helps to limit people from logging into your account. So with two-factor authentication, you get something like a secret question, which you need to provide the answer to, or a verification code. Once you type in the verification code, it shows that, okay, yes, this is the actual owner of this account, and you're given access. So it's a second layer of protection for you. Then do not click on strange links. You see, like a link like this, it doesn't quite make any sense, So don't click on strange links. What you can do is, if you got the link from a friend or a family member, you can double check with them that this is a legit link, But if you still are not sure, you can use link checkers. So these are programs online that can help you check if a link is dead or it's alive, and if it is fraudulent. So an example is Dr. Link Checker. So you can do that if you ever get a link that doesn't look like something that you've seen before. Then I know we love free Wi-Fi, especially on passworded Wi-Fi, but there are dangers to it. So the best thing to do when you're in a situation, if it is beyond your control, there are two things you can do. Number one is to use a VPN. So when you use a VPN, you're sure that whatever information you're sending and receiving, whatever data that is moving through that network is encrypted. So even if someone tries to intercept it, they won't be able to make meaning of what is being sent. And then another thing to do is avoid sending sensitive information like your bank details, your credit card detail. Avoid sending any of such information when you are using a public unprotected network. Once you go back to your house that has a network that you trust, then you can do all of that stuff. But once you're outside, make sure you're using a VPN and you're not sending sensitive information. Then you need to back up your data regularly. There's something known as a ransomware. So a ransomware is a program that is designed to threaten to publish a victim's personal data or to permanently block access to that data unless the victim pays a certain sum of money. So if your data is backed up and you fall victim to a ransomware malware, you can simply ignore it because you know that you have it backed up already. As opposed to you not having it backed up and then you're being attacked by a ransomware. So it's important that you continually, as often as you can, back up your sensitive, most important information. Then the next one is you have to be smart with your financial information. Be careful not to whenever you're making payments online with your credit card, be sure to check on the URL that you are seeing HTTPS and not just HTTP. So now the S means that you're secure, means your connection is secure and encrypted. So it won't be easily intercepted and manipulated. So make sure that you're doing that, and then do not save your card detail on a website's database. Let's say you shop at Target or Amazon or whatever the online platform may be. You may shop there regularly, and it's convenient to save it there, and then just whenever you need to make your purchase, you just click on it and then it does the transaction. It's very convenient, I must admit. But in the case where the system, the server of the company is compromised, what are you going to do? If it is compromised, the hackers can get access to your details and the details of every other person who has saved their card details on the platform, and you know what they can do with that. So as much as it may feel like a hassle to always have to put your card detail on the platform, it is for your own safety that you do so. Then finally, you have to keep your private information private. Like my colleague said here about sending sensitive information to people over the internet. Don't get comfortable doing that with strangers online, because it would shock you the amount of damage that can be done if your information falls in the hands of a cyber criminal. So avoid sending information that are very identifying, like your address, your full name, and all of that stuff. So these are the tips. These are the tips that you can implement to keep yourself safe online. So if there are any questions, I don't mind taking them right now. Okay, we've got a question. How is the internet a danger to kids?
You want to take this one?
Oh, go
Should
ahead.
I go first?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. How is the internet a danger to kids? First of all, let's look at the various things that are on the internet today, right? Let's look at the content, the media, the trends. Uh, Basically, the internet today, unfortunately, or for the most part, has become sort of a means of escape, right? Let me use a very good example. We have elder men or seemingly older men living the Instagram life, the Lamborghini, the blonde haired woman, and all that. So, unfortunately, parents don't really have much control over how much internet the kid consumes today. I'm walking by the restaurant and I'm seeing the kid with an iPad, just scrolling through TikTok for hours and hours, and the parents and they're not just not bothered. So the kids coming across such contents, unfortunately, they have to learn in some way, and it's sad that that's how they learn. That's what they learn. So in the long run, it affects their view of reality. They have a reality shift. They start living a dream and they start chasing the things that actually make no sense, rather than facing real life and the challenges that are actually in life. So how the internet is a danger to kids is in the media that they consume, the contents that they consume. How would you fix this? You take away the internet from them until they come of age. So I hope I answered your question, Anonymous E. All right, Vincent, I think you want to have something to say.
Okay, just to add to that, what you said is actually correct. There's a lot of stuff online, and some parents don't really watch over their kids and watch over the content that they consume. So I
Mm,
can say what one can do if you're an elderly person or you're a parent. What you can do is a lot of these devices have some parental control features on it, so
yeah,
you can activate it on the kid's device, such that there are certain sites that they cannot go to, and certain things that they cannot do. While they spend more time on content that can actually help them grow as children. So I think the parental control feature is the most important part. Or if you can't do that, like my colleague said, just take the internet away from them.
yeah. I think taking the internet away from them is inevitably the best option, because there's a lot of things going on about around the internet today that I don't think you would want your kids to have to be a part of that. I'm not going to go into details about that for the sake of controversy issues, but I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. The left side of society. It's
Okay, I have something to say. The points you guys gave are very correct, but then if you take the internet away from the kid, you definitely have to take it away from every other kid surrounding them, because through communications, other kids might be exposed and verbally can, how can I put it, give out informations to the ones that are not connected to the internet. It still damages them somehow.
but I think, yeah, you're right. But in a sense, it limits the damage to some extent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You almost have no control over that. But what you can do is, like they say, keep an eye on your kid. So
All
keep
right.
an eye on them, the people they hang out with, the content they consume. I know children have a tendency of sharing what they've learned, even from their friends, with their parents. So if you hear of such communication that you don't think is right, you can caution them, and primarily a child is meant to follow the parents' instruction, so
Yeah.
that can actually help.
We have another question. How do we know if the emails that we receive are secured?
Okay, how do you know if the email is secure? Well, you don't really know. You don't really know because what I said is, if you're not familiar with the email address, you know if you're not, like spam emails, you know there are those. So if you're not familiar with it, it's best to not open it. But
Mm,
you can choose to open it. Not all emails will have an attachment to it. Not all emails will have a drive-by download with it. So you can open it, and if you say, okay, this is not relevant to me, you discard it or identify it as a spam email, and
mm,
that's it.
I think there are actually tools for that. There's one called Check TLS or something. It allows you to scan the recipient's what's it called? The recipient's email address, and helps you to check for the security, enforce the TLS.
Okay.
So, I mean, in a sense, you can't really tell. I mean, right off the hook, you're not just gonna, or you get an email address and then you just, okay, the next thing you do, that's like you don't, you're not going to be paranoid.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're not going to be paranoid and just start typing, okay, check if every single one is, so especially if, like you said, you're not familiar with them,
yeah,
right? For example, if it's www.facebook, they can change the second O to the number zero. So
yeah,
especially with the way the psychology of the brain works, we just ignore such tiny details, and we it's that's very popular amongst phishing. But I think there are tools for that, and our email client software like that for Google to filter out emails. So yeah, from Front Dreams, we also have a tool that can help you filter out emails that are suspicious. So there are various ways you can actually know, but it's are you muted? Can you guys hear me?
yeah, yeah. We can.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
there an internet ethics. How do you know the boundaries not to cross in the internet? Because I know there are things in both the dark web and deep web that we can gain from. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, I used to have a friend, right? He was very, very interested in metaprogramming. Metaprogramming is like the back end development of source codes. It's like okay, if you know the C++ library, the entire back end of the entire library of what makes C++, he was interested in that. And on the dark web, he found a lot of information, right, for free, right? A lot of information on the dark web for free. So I'm going to tell you this: you set the boundaries for what you want and how you want to do what you want to do. Like I said, it depends on what you're using the information for. Okay, so if I'm gaining all these knowledge and I'm using it to cause harm to people, to other different peoples, then that's where you draw the line. Okay, when you knowledge acquisition, there is no line necessarily drawn, but when it crosses that boundary of having to harm other people, yeah, that's where the line is. That's where you draw the line. The line isn't necessarily drawn between the dark web, the deep web, and the surface web. Those are just the layers of the internet that you should be familiar with. Okay, because you know that some things on the surface web you have to pay for, you have to do this for, but on the deep web, on the dark web, you can get these informations. But when it begins to cause harm to other people, you should draw the line there. That's where the line should be drawn, because you wouldn't like that to be done to you. So I hope I answered your question, Jeremiah.
There's a question here from
Yeah.
Facebook from Junior. He said, "How to win money with the internet?
How to what?
How to win money with the internet?"
How to win money with the internet. I think
Yeah.
Menally has something to say about this.
Okay. Everyone can make money through the internet, but I think how to win money is getting a skill. Like, you need to get a skill, and that's where the internet comes in to learn whatever you want to learn. It might be designing, web development, or all the like. So I think that's what the internet is for when it comes to making money. Though some of us, our people, they use it for something else, like scamming and frauding. Though they are still making the money, but then they are using an illegal means to do that.
Yeah.
So what I would advise for anyone that wants to make money through the internet is to gain a skill, like find a niche and master it. Then you market yourself out there. Definitely you make money. In as much as it's in tech, then it's demanding. Could be graphics, copywriting, and all the like. Once it's something related to tech, definitely people are in need of it. Basically, what I would say is create solutions to problems out there and you're going to make money.
I think you're kind of misunderstanding my guy. He didn't
Okay.
say how to earn. He didn't say how to earn money. He said how to win money. He wants to win it. He wants
I accept that's true giveaways. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, there are giveaways because people actually do those. but I don't think
Yeah,
it's a
but
very
then you cannot really say no one is always lucky. There are thousands of people going in for that, so it's not something you advise someone to win money through the internet.
right?
it's guaranteed to make money from the internet, but winning
Yeah,
money from the internet is not
internet
very
is
good.
not.
I think it's even a lot harder to win because winning sorts of it has to include luck. It's like the lottery, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
one in a billion people. So why would you
The
wait for
chances
your
are very
turn?
slim.
Why would exactly your chances are very slim. All right. Before we close, I want us to do something, guys. Are you guys ready? The audience can also participate. You guys to tell me your best and worst internet experience. Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
If you guys want to think about it, or maybe I can give you guys an idea. Okay, so my best internet experience was the very day that I found Jordan Peterson on YouTube. I think a lot of people know who Jordan Peterson is.
Yeah.
He's a clinical psychologist. Like I said, using the internet for gathering information and all that. That's my best experience with the internet. Now, my worst experience, it's kind of ironic, but it's the discovery of dark humor. I've since the discovery since I discovered dark humor, I've been an addict, and now I cannot help but come up with dark jokes, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's my experience.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll go next. My best experience with the internet has been making profitable connections, like getting to meet a community that shares the same goals and view with me, working together with them. Like you have people you're accountable to and they keep you going whatever you're doing. Then the worst experience was there was a time, like I don't know who did it, I still don't know. The person actually cloned my Facebook account and was doing crazy things with it.
Wow,
I
that's
almost
tough.
got into I almost got into trouble. Like people were like telling me your page is just posting weird stuff. I was like, "How? I'm not the one." They say you're online right now. I went
How
online and
weird.
I did not post
How weird.
anything. They had to copy, screenshot, and everything, and I was seeing my pictures.
Don't
Like
push it.
Okay.
it's not funny.
Wow. That's tough. How'd
Wow.
you sort it out though?
Well, we couldn't identify who did that, but somehow at a point, I think the account was scammed or the person had to change whatever they were doing and it was later a white someone on the account. My name was changed, everything was gone down. At a point, I felt like someone was getting back at me, but I don't know what I did. But it's past now and I'm safe.
Wow. Interesting. All right.
Right.
For me, I'll say my best experience on the internet was Facebook. Actually,
So,
it was
Mm.
Facebook because I got to meet some of my cousins and everything, and they were from the UK, so they spent the Christmas over, and then I got to connect with them on Facebook and actually chat with them.
Oh,
So it felt really great. Like I was like, woo,
wow.
I can keep in touch with these guys.
That's
So
amazing.
that was my best experience actually. Then my worst experience, um, I went to the dark web actually. I went to the dark
Oh,
web one time, and
okay.
I don't know what I checked. It's fuzzy in my mind, but it freaked me out, to be honest. I I was curious, but at the same time I was scared because it got to a point that my IP was blacklisted. I tried to look up something, and Google popped up something that I can't check because of my IP. Bro,
Hey, what'd you
I was
do? What'd you
I was
do?
scared. So since then I was like, nah, I'm not doing this again. So yeah, those are my best and worst experience on the internet.
That's
okay.
nice. All right, all right, all right. Ah, so
Before we close,
unfortunately,
please,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, for everyone watching, just spread the gospel. If you're not following Front Dreams on social media, just do that right away. For your
Yes.
website and hosting, they are the
Yes.
best. So just do that right away.
Yes, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're there.
It's literally a very catchy title, Front Dreams, so you can't miss it. All right, all right. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Melanie. You guys are
Thank you.
amazing. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a nice day, everyone. See you guys.